Welcome to Her Love of Sports with your host, Katie Hamilton.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Her Love of Sports, where we are highlighting and promoting professional women in the sports industry. I'm your host, Katie Hamilton, and joining me today is one of my dearest friends, Kira Rapps. Kira, welcome to Her Love of Sports. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. Very good. Super excited to be here.
Me too. I'm so happy we got this done. And if you are watching, you can tell that we're in a different studio today, which makes it really exciting because now we're in person, which I think is great because we're such good friends. And to do it in person, I'm really excited. So Kira and I work for a professional sports club for the past 4 years together, more closely the past 2 years. So we've been roommates on the road together. We work daily together. So it's been really great. So I'm so excited to share your story and really with your coaching, sports you've played, and then your professional career. So I'd like to just start with how you started playing sports.
Yeah, so I grew up in Toronto, and there was a park at the end of the street, and my mom just took me down there one winter and taught me how to skate. And I think she realized, she can kind of skate. Let's put her in lessons. So from a pretty young age, I just went to the community center and I just started skating, doing all those lessons where you're with like a whole bunch of kids and you go through your badges and you get the things that you can sew on back in the day. And I had a coach watch me, and she just picked me up and she just said, "Hey, would you be interested?" To my mom, would she be interested in skating? And I guess she said yes. And I literally was with that coach, I would say from the age of like 5, 6 up until I quit. So she was my coach. She was my lifelong coach. She was a second mom to me, many milestones with her. And so from a very young age, I've always been skating.
And what age did you quit at?
So I got injured, I would say when I was 15, tried to push through it, but it was plantar fasciitis and my foot just totally blew up every time I put my skate in, or put my foot in my boot. So I would say between 16 and 17 is when I really gave it up and just never looked back, to be honest. Yeah.
Wow, so you skated for a long time, and in Toronto too, and like hockey's so big in Toronto. What was it like? Did you just have to skate like super in the morning? Was it like 4 a.m. skating sessions that we hear about, or was it okay?
That's so funny because I feel like you say you're a figure skater, and that's the first question everyone always says. Did you do your morning sessions? I never did morning sessions, which is funny because I'm a morning person now, but never. I always skated immediately after school. So I would go to school, my mom would pick me up, I would change in the car, eat my sandwich, and then off to the rink. And then home for dinner. And my mom would make dinner, and that was our routine. Like, I don't know, 3-4 times a week at least, once on the weekend. And I did do gymnastics at the same time, but it is a very disciplined sport, figure skating. And I loved it. And so at a point, you had to choose. And so I played a lot of sports through school, but I always had figure skating as my priority sport. And that's what I committed to from a pretty young age. And so, yeah, probably like from grade 4 onward, that's what I did every day after school. I didn't know what the after school play dates were. I just went to the rink with your friends, and those were your friends, and that's what you did.
So we talk about it a lot on the show as being a multi-sport athlete, and when you decide which sport to directly go to and that be your main sport. And we see it kind of at 14, 15, 16, but you said that you chose yours a little bit earlier. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think because it's such a disciplined sport, not that I had to choose, but I ended up going with skating a lot earlier. So I would say somewhere between grade 5, grade 6 is when that transition happened. I moved clubs at that time too with my coach. And so that network of friends that I created at the new club became my group of friends. And so you want to go to the rink, you want to skate, and that's all you kind of want to do. And it's not a sacrifice. You choose that. So I don't think I ever was upset about it, leaving gymnastics or not being able to play other sports competitively. To be honest, I don't actually think I ever enrolled in other sports competitively. I always just did them in school. So I felt like I got to do it all because I had my main sport and I got to do everything at school. And, you know, you're like a fairly good athlete, so you enjoy it and you're excelling at that and it's fun. And so it's not a sacrifice.
And then, so you did get injured, so you did have to stop skating. But I know that field hockey is a big sport in your life. Tell me how you got started in field hockey.
That was so random. So I got injured in skating. I'm now in high school. I'm in grade 9. My brother's in grade 12, and he's really athletic as well. And he had a group of girlfriends who, again, super athletic. All of them played ice hockey, or a good group of them played ice hockey. So they recruited me to the ice hockey team because they knew I could skate. I had never touched a stick, a puck. Like, I've never played the sport, but I said, how hard can it be? I'm a good skater. It'll be fine. And they said, okay, but to start, we're going to play field hockey. So you can get the hand-eye coordination. I said, okay, no problem. So it was September. That was field hockey season. The winter sport was hockey. So I get a few months of this and then transition, and it'd be great. And field hockey is just fun. Like, it's a stick, you whack a ball, and you run after it, and you get to body check a little bit. So I really liked it. And then that took me into ice hockey. But it was interesting. We didn't have a team in grade 10 because we didn't have a staff advisor, and those group of girls had graduated. So grade 10, there was a core group of us that were grade 9s that came into the sport together. Grade 10, we spent the whole year kind of creating this pitch to the school of, you know, we'll take it on, we will fund it, we'll get jerseys, we just need a staff advisor. And we had 2 really awesome biology teachers step up. And Miss Cook was her name. I can't remember his name. But they were both science teachers. And in grade 11, we got the team going again. And it was all of my friends that played all the other sports with me. So ice hockey girls, softball girls, soccer girls. And then you just try to recruit as many young kids to keep it going. And we had AK Pro was the main, I guess, field hockey brand in Ontario at the time. They actually gave us goalie equipment, which was huge. We had sticks donated to us. We had the old school pleated ugly skirts and the oversized rugby polo shirts, and it was awesome. And so we played all of grade 11. Grade 12, I distinctly remember we were quite good, and we made it into what's called OFSA in Ontario. And our science teacher, the male one, had the skirt on. He's like running up and down the sideline cheering for us. He has no idea what the rules are, but he knows we're winning. So it was really fun. And that's kind of how I got into field hockey. And so I told my dad I wanted to keep playing. So he put me into a registration for Team Ontario. And I wasn't technical by any means. I did join a club team, but I had good hand-eye. I liked the sport. I liked to run. And I made the Team Ontario B team in my grade 11 year.
Wow.
And they said I needed to be more fit. I needed to get my beep score up. So I trained all of grade 12 with my PE teacher. And he basically got me to get to that score. So when the tryouts happened for the grade 12 year, I did make the A team. And again, I'm not super technical player still, but I was fit enough to make the team. And I would say it wasn't a great experience still, but I made the team. That was my goal. And from that, it actually brought me west. So
And then it brought you out west.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like?
So I knew I wanted to come west. And so in Ontario, you can apply to 3 universities, and I didn't really want to. I always wanted to come out to BC. My brother was going to UBC at the time. He's a baseball player. So I kind of ruled that out immediately. And UVic was the next option. I came to visit. They had a stellar field hockey program. They still have an amazing field hockey program. And I just kind of went for it. Super naive, you could even say. And again, I was never a technical player, but I loved it. And I did get cut from the UVic team. They had 2 spots open my freshman year, and those spots were already taken by one was a very good friend of mine who ended up being captain of the team for many years. And I wasn't upset by it. Like, you knew, right? You go in, you kind of knew what you were doing. Ironically, that's kind of how I ended up meeting my husband. But aside from that, I ended up just joining a club team here in Victoria called the Sailors Field Hockey Club. And I got to just be a student as well, which I had never done. I don't think I really knew what that was like. So I'm quite grateful that that's how it happened. And then I started to enjoy field hockey again and got better. And I ended up playing my 5th year at UVic for the Vikes. And we won Canada West that year. And we went on to unfortunately lose to, I guess it was UBC in the finals. But it was an awesome experience. And really happy I actually got to experience what varsity playing is like. Met some really good friends. A lot of them went on to be like very successful in the sport. So it's just really nice to be a part of that.
That's amazing. And I think it just shows like your whole full circle of where it came from. And even like you said, like getting cut for your first year, but you kind of had a feeling, you knew kind of going in just with all the other aspects and logistics, but then coming back and falling in love with it again, and then coming back and making that team for your 5th year. I think it's really inspiring for other athletes to see as well, who maybe are going through something similar, or maybe they are expecting to make the team the first year and they get cut, to be like, well, you're not over.
Right.
You're not over. Like, if this is what you want, you can follow it, or maybe it'll come around and you'll end up loving it again.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the exact messaging, is it's never over unless you really want it to be over. There's always some sort of next chapter for you. Let it be like actually make that team or go on to do something else.
Yeah. And then that transitions into coaching, which we've connected on with coaching our teams. So you coach for the Oak Bay High School, but it was last year you guys won provincials, wasn't it?
Yes.
When did you win provincials?
Yes. So it's this graduating class that won provincials.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So after I finished UVic, I coached in the junior league program throughout that. And there was a group of girls that were just awesome. They were so fun to coach for. They went to Monterey Middle School, and that's when I started. So I kind of started coaching as they progressed through middle school to high school. And once they graduated, I continued, I guess it would have been 2 more years, because there was a sister of one of the girls as well. And it was amazing. A part of that, though, were the women that I got to coach with. And so there were 2 coaches, and they're definitely mentors. They're friends. They're just amazing women who have played on the national team, Olympics, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
And are just really amazing role models in the community for field hockey, for what they do professionally, and just moms in general. So they're a big reason why I continued and loved it so much. So it was those traditions that I learned in the first 4 years from the first coach. We continued her legacy on when she left, and then the second coach joined, and I've coached with her and her 2 daughters for quite some time now. And I think our first massive milestone, we were never a great team. Like, we had a really good athletes. We just never, like, I don't know, it just never transpired for a few years. And then it would have been 4 years ago. We played in a tournament at Thanksgiving. It's called the Bridgman Cup. And we beat Handsworth, which is like the top school from North Shore, and shootouts at that tournament. And that was huge. Like, we hadn't won Bridgman in years. Like, and I'm talking like, I think 90s, like 80s, 90s, like a long time.
So it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. We won that tournament. That was huge for the program. And then 2 years later, the girls that are graduating this year, shout out to the Oak Bay grads this year, but they're just an incredible group of athletes. They're also amazing girls. They like each other. They play for each other. It's just that nice group. And they've also grown up together for years. And we won. And it was kind of a Cinderella kind of year. We didn't lose. We never lost that season. I think we conceded like the fewest amount of goals we had in many years. And not that we didn't have moments where we thought, oh, like we might not win this game. We definitely got tested, but they always knew how to ground themselves. and we would just go back to traditions. They knew who we were, they knew what our motto was, they understood the coaching style, and we never wavered from that. And we won in shootouts that year too, which is always suspenseful, but it was amazing. I don't know how you cannot love that feeling, and I think that's why sports is so contagious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to go through that whole journey, like of where you started with coaching, and like you said, like the group of girls were just so great, like they really got along and stuff. So to go through that with your friends, your family almost. And then when I remember like checking in on you, being like, knowing that you were at the provincials, being like, what's going on? How's it going? And then to hear you guys won, it was like, I was like, oh yes, they won. Yeah. I'm not even a part of the team, but like, it's just amazing. And for high school sports too. And for on the island, to have like Oak Bay win, it's just phenomenal. And I think for like Islanders especially, like you always see, like of course Island teams win, but you see lots of the mainland, or they talk more about mainland teams. So to see like Oak Bay come and represent is just absolutely amazing. Yeah. And congratulations again for it.
Yeah, thank you.
What advice would you give to young athletes growing up, kind of like in that same journey as maybe you're taking, or something similar they might have had? Maybe they had an injury or changed sports or fell in love with the sport later on.
What would I say? I think just every sport you play teaches you something different. Let it be about yourself and your body, or a skill that you didn't have, or maybe something you need to work on. And I think as I've gone older, you just kind of accept that this is new, and you might not master it right away, but you can really enjoy it still. And I think just trying to be patient with yourself. I know I can be a pretty competitive person, and you kind of have these expectations like, I'm gonna ace this from the get-go. And I would say majority of the time you don't. And that's okay. And so it's okay to have expectations, and I encourage pushing yourself. But when you need those moments of grace, give that to yourself. And one thing that professionally, the boys that I work with now have taught me is how important your rehab and your warm-ups are. I don't think I ever enjoyed doing warm-up or cool down. I know for skating, I had to do ballet, and I do not consider myself a dancer by any means. Even though figure skating is artistry, I just never enjoyed ballet. But you look back and you realize how important those warm-ups were. We did it for a reason. There's always a reason. And so when your coach is telling you, you need to do this, and you roll your eyes 4 times, still do it. It's okay. Roll your eyes, but still do it.
It's absolutely been amazing working with you, learning from you. And we've also been roommates last year. That's where we really connected, because I joke that it's like it took us 4 years to get to where we are today and being such good friends. But we really connected being roommates, going on the road with a team and whatnot. But how did you get started with the career that you have now?
So in 2018, I was a little bit at a crossroads, I think, professionally, and I wasn't working in sports at the time, and I really missed that aspect of it. I knew I needed something creative, but I wanted it to be in sport. And not that the island is limiting in that, I just had never really gotten in, and I didn't really know where to start. So I was fortunate that I had worked at the University of Victoria Vikes athletic department with a friend, and he said, hey, we're hiring. And I said, yeah, I'm going to send it off. I was actually in Vancouver coaching the Oak Bay team at the time at provincials. And I remember like writing my resume on the bed with my co-coach, going, how do I do this? What do I do? What do I say? And she helped me. And the next week I had a job interview. And then the week after, I'm pretty sure I got the job. So it was very quick. I think because it was so new, they didn't exactly know what my role was going to be yet. But at the time, I honestly, that didn't matter to me. I just wanted to experience it. And so very quickly, I ended up on the soccer side as opposed to what we called the business side. And then from there, I was on the next flight to Dominican for preseason with the team, and my job hasn't stopped since then.
They just shipped you out.
Yeah,
and
you're
gone.
gone.
Off you go. That's amazing, and it's been such a wild ride for working together and just following your journey there. What would you say is one of your most favorite parts about what you do in your career?
We're all competitive there. We all want to win. That's why you come to work every day. And last year we did that. And it actually happened months after Oak Bay had won their provincials. So I got to experience these two championships, completely different. But that's like why you do it, right? And to be in that change room celebrating at the end, like there's no better feeling.
I love it. Again, what advice would you give to fellow women that are looking to pursue a career in the sports industry similar to your career?
I think for me, I also don't have a soccer background. So I did play a little bit in high school, but by no means would I consider myself a soccer player or actually know the sport when I started. And I never considered that as an obstacle because you just learn and it's like a new job. You just jump in and you take it on and you learn. Looking back, I think I definitely had people that doubted that because I would be talking to external people or people who have had incredible careers, and you could kind of tell that because I didn't maybe know the name of this person or those things, maybe I wasn't getting taken seriously. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in those moments, don't let that affect you because your performance will take you farther than those comments. When you feel secure in your job, I think that's huge. And unfortunately, not everyone gets to experience that working in a male-dominant industry. And so finding your people that you can rely on is super important.
What are your next steps and what are your goals that you're looking to accomplish?
I'm going to have a baby in November. So learning how to adjust with all of that too is going to be part of my next chapter that I do feel quite supported about right now. And it means that I won't be able to do certain things. But again, I don't want it to be a hindrance in the sport. I think it's important that we do learn how to manage that because it's part of our day-to-day lives. You shouldn't have to be a female and not pursue what you want from a family perspective if that's what you want. I don't know what that looks like, and I'm definitely not the first person to go through it, but I'm looking forward to what that looks like and then just navigating it, I think, as honest as I can to myself and knowing you don't have to shy away from certain things. And if something doesn't support, then you pivot and you go from there. But it's all going to be part of the journey.
And it's a very exciting journey. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is episode 1 for Kira. And then we're going to do an episode 2 post-baby to talk about what it's like as a new mom and working in the industry. I think we can cover that.
For sure.
Okay. Well, Kira, thank you so much. This isn't the last. Like I said, we're going to do more episodes. And Kira's also going to be a co-host with us on some. So make sure you stay tuned for more episodes. But thank you so much for coming on Her Love of Sports today. It's been amazing hearing more in depth about your sports career and your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. And it was very cool to be here in studio, like you said, in person, talking. And it's funny, it's just like we're in my kitchen talking. It is totally normal, but at the same time, you have this platform. And I think what you're doing is amazing. So congratulations to you too.
Thank you so much.
To catch all the latest, make sure to follow us on social media at Her Love of Sports and check out herloveofsports.com.